welcome to the broadcast on this April 3rd, 2025. Let's talk about several things. One of them I want to talk about tonight is the big print. The big print. Our government. You want to hear some sobering statistics here? You ready for these sobering statistics, Dolly? The government is in a debt trap. The government is in a debt trap. And we have added $11 trillion in new debt in the last 5 to 6 years. $11 trillion in the last 5 to 6 years. More than the first 180 years of the U.S. We are now paying $1.3 trillion in interest per year. We're in what they call a debt doom loop, or a debt trap. Because to get people to want to buy our debt, you have to have good interest rates on those bonds. Otherwise, they don't want to put their money in it. But if you have good interest rates to give a good return on your bonds, you have to raise interest rates. You raise interest rates, you're also raising the interest rate on your national debt, which means you then have to raise more money and sell more bonds to service the debt. It becomes a loop. So what's the option? The option is the government prints the money. So there's an author that I was watching last night on Kitco while I was, the storms were roaring through here last night, and we had our mini schnauzer. We have two schnauzers, a mini schnauzer that's white and black, Lily and Pearl. And then we have, of course, the best dog of all, Dolly. But with the thunder and the lightning and the hard rain, Lily was just shaking and panting all night long. So at one point, I couldn't even get to sleep because of all the storms and the dog panting. And I turned on to watch Kitco News about the finances. And I was watching this guy in his book. He's got a new book out. Never heard of the gentleman before. And the book is called The Big Print. The Big Print. What happened to America and how sound money will fix it. And I'm going to play some of the clips tonight because it was fascinating. I was listening to this while the tornadoes were moving all around us. And he was giving off all these stats. And he talked about really the only way out of this is for the government to just print the money, debase the money. So I want to play some of those clips tonight because it is fascinating and scary at the same time to watch what's happening. And we're watching it. We're sitting in the front row. This is what other countries have gone through. We read about. We're now sitting here watching it. Okay, so I want to talk about that. Then I want to have on the show tonight Shannon Everett. I want to have Shannon back on real quick about something I found out today, and that is I think it's a government agency, we'll find out, or an agency or a government agency, we'll find out from him, that knows that we have these hubs overseas that are talking to the drivers, and many of them are these illegal invaders that are being given CDLs here in America or hired dirt cheap illegal drivers. But they're being controlled by hubs out of the country who apparently are resetting their logbooks, resetting their digital logbooks so they can just keep driving nonstop, fatigued. And then, of course, they run over and kill people. So I got to get a note update tonight from Shannon on that with American Truckers. Then I want to talk to Dave Gobbets, co-author of the book Muslim Mafia. I got a lot of video clips I want to play for you tonight by imams telling you what Islam is all about. The interesting thing is these imams, when they're giving their sermons, they tell you Islam is about jihad. Islam is about wanting to kill and then come back and kill again and then come back and kill again and then come back and kill again. That's what they say. That's in their books. The Hadith, the Quran. And then I'm going to show you a video where a Muslim dude gets on his motorcycle and starts touring Irving, Texas, a neighborhood outside of Dallas, Irving, Texas. It's a Muslim neighborhood with Muslim streets like Allah Akbar Avenue. You think I'm joking? You guys are laughing at that, aren't you? It's really true. I'm going to show it to you tonight. Muslim-sounding streets, they're named Muslim names, and they got their mosque right there. And all these dudes and folks in there are Muslim. Okay? We're going to talk to a man, a former federal agent, Dave Govitz, co-author of Muslim Mafia, who has gone undercover in over 425 mosques. He's going to tell you what's coming, and then I want to ask him also tonight what he thinks is going to happen in America should Israel and America attack Iran. What could we expect here in the lower 48, the continental United States of America? We got a big show to get to. First, I want to show you this. This is at the Hill. Take a look at this. The Hill. House opens daycare center in hopes of better retaining Capitol staffers. This is an article from back in January of 2019. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy will soon take over as House Minority Leader, he helped secure more than $12 million in taxpayer funds for the new 26,000 square foot facility, NPR reported. Daycare center. Apparently the Senate has their own daycare center. McCarthy said his goal is to help retain highly qualified staff who work for the House since the Senate operates its own daycare facility, the outlet noted. But yet, members of Congress now, Republicans helping Democrats, now want people to be able to proxy vote as a new dad or a new mom. I'm sorry, I'm all for parents and parenthood and everything, but this is not right. This is not right. The average American doesn't get to just do this. I think I'll just proxy vote my job in. They have to make sacrifices. They have to spend money on daycare. I would highly doubt these members of the House or Senate are paying for their daycare. How many of you knew they get daycare? But now they're going to get a proxy vote. Why not put your child in one of the free daycares? I'm sure they're free. Why not put them in there and go vote? But now, I guess you can sit in your recliner and proxy vote. I mean, this is ridiculous. As I said in my Worldview report tonight, these people are so out of touch. They are so out of touch. But I wanted to talk about that real quick. Here's another one. Doctors are refusing to prescribe antibiotics as part of the conspirators' depopulation plan. All right? Dr. Cole's writing about this. Citing concerns about global warming and anti-resistance bacteria, Dr. Coleman argues that antibiotics are essential and can save lives, and that the real problem is not antibiotic resistance, but rather lack of timely treatment. And the refusal to prescribe antibiotics has a dangerous effect. It's leading to a rise in sepsis, which is now suddenly one of the world's biggest killers. My friends, my wife she deals with customer support here, and guess what? Customer support, donor relations, she's now for the last several months had our own audience telling us that there are times when they go to get a drug filled at their pharmacy and they can't get it filled. Well, you just wait if we go to war with China, where a lot of our drugs come out of China, right? So my suggestion, folks, would be that you go ahead and get your meds at the wellness company, which is worldviewhealthcare.com. Worldview Healthcare, spell it right, Brandon. Worldviewhealthcare.com. Get your meds there. Get your medical kits there now. Worldviewhealthcare.com. This is not a joke, folks. Worldviewhealthcare.com. I urge you to be stocked up and ready to go. Okay? Now, if you appreciate the show, will you please go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. You can find out about all of our sponsors there. And just as the show is beginning, Melissa brought me my Gatatana, which I drink every day. You see me take my Bella Grace here. You see me take my Gatatana here. One little bitty scoop is the equivalent of 90 billion plant cells. It's got protein that we need. It's got all kinds of amino acids, trace minerals, beta carotene, all kinds of stuff. There are 5 clinical trials on this. Here, Dolly gets a half a scoop on her food every day. Here's Binks, the cat, had a tumor. They got it on Gatatana. Tumor went away. Remember the guy that formulated this? They told him he was terminal with cancer. He just started eating this. Went in for a biopsy on his lungs. Took out 11 samples. Came back benign. I'm not making claims. I'm just telling you what the story is. We, by the way, have seen a spike. I looked this morning. We have seen a spike of people ordering this. You guys are smart. Preventative. Food as medicine. Food as medicine. There's no additives. This is 100% all natural. Okay? Get it now at melissahousegpa.com or just find the link on worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All right, come back to me. I'm going to drink this up before we go to our first guest. I'm trying to show you guys, I really do take this every day. And you know I take my Bella Grace, all right? So please go there, melissahousegpa.com. Great ways to support us and your health at the same time, which allows us to keep this network going and to do long format interviews, well, like we're about to do right now. Joining me now is Shannon Everett of AmericanTruckers.com. We got to get an update. We've been trying to stay on this story. We're going to stay on this story, but we even have an update tonight. Shocking revelation. ATU co-founder grills FMCSA on scandalous new policy letting foreign trucking companies flood U.S. highways operating from overseas hubs where they shamelessly reset logbooks with zero accountability. That's what's on the Twitter feed right now of American Truckers. You guys can come back to me. What do you make of that? Before I play this video, do I have that accurate, Shannon?
Yeah, so one of the things that Harvey was bringing up in that meeting, you know, we were able to confront him about several different hot topics right now in the industry, but this one is extremely alarming because they are using ELD devices that are manufactured offshore, okay, and then they're dispatching from offices that are offshore. They're foreign truck drivers here in the United States, and so they have no regard for our regulations and our rules and safety standards. And so it's been commonly reported to our recruiting departments that drivers, you know, American drivers who have also worked for some of these companies, say that it's nothing for a guy from an Eastern European country to say, hey, we'll reset your logbook for you. And they go in and they edit the logbooks and give the driver fresh time as if he was never driving that day.
So instead of, you know, his limit of 8 hours, whatever it is, he has to pull over and sleep for so many hours. No, it's clean and he keep going.
Yeah, he just keeps going. That's right.
And who is ATU co-founder? What does ATU stand for?
American Truckers United, AmericanTruckers.com.
Okay. And Grills FMCSA, who's that?
The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So they were in attendance at the Louisville Mid-America Truck Show, and they did a Q&A session with the audience. And so that gave us the opportunity to ask some of these very pointed and hard questions.
Wow. Explain to us FMCSA, what are they involved at what? Real high levels, setting legislation at state and federal, you know, at the state and federal level?
The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is the federal agency responsible for monitoring motor carrier safety regulations and guidelines and rulemaking.
So,
they report directly to the Department of Transportation.
Okay, so there you go. That's what I was trying to get to. Sorry, I'm not an over-the-road professional, so I'm trying to learn all this along with everybody else that isn't, you know, over-the-road professional. I didn't know if that was an organization, but you're saying it is actually an agency inside the government.
Correct. It's a federal agency.
And so this federal agency knows this is going on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, they respond with, you know, just kind of a lackadaisical attitude, like there's nothing being done currently to combat this fraud.
All right.
And so it's another symptom of open borders in the trucking industry and no initiative being taken to control or filter or prevent, these major accidents that are taking place as a result.
Wow. All right, let's go to this video. Here we go, folks. Listen and watch.
Since we're talking about technology, what are you guys doing to combat companies that have their dispatchers in foreign countries that are regularly tampering with our federal electronic logbooks for their drivers here on our homeland?
So if you're talking about what do we do about foreign entities entering our system, this identity proofing will stop that.
I'm talking about how they tamper with electronic logbooks and reset the logs for their drivers, forcing them to drive fatigued. How can we stop that?
He's more talking about the level 8 inspection that's in process now.
Right. So
that's being tested.
See, even tech is a complicated / complex question, right? ELDs in a truck, they interact with the carrier operations, and if they're connected at their site, FMCSA there's no middleman for FMCSA in that regard, right? We don't get to see any of that traffic that comes in, and if I don't get to see the traffic, I can't do much from a technical perspective on their side, unless that's a carrier operations question. We don't get to see any of that.
You guys are the regulating authority on electronic logbooks.
True, and I think based on that, we have put out, if I recall, we did bar some of the ELD devices from the authorized list a few months ago. But it's a very case-by-case basis, right? We have to know, we have to investigate, we have to do it. There's nothing proactive we can do about it because we just are not plugged into that network.
Wow. Okay. So Shannon, how if you were in charge, explain from a standpoint of technology how you could police this and put an end to this. Number one, I guess you don't have their, what do you call them, hubs, their overseas hubs, taking calls and directing them over here. They have to be in the U.S. But from a technical standpoint, how could you monitor this so that their logs are not electronically being zeroed out?
Yeah, so I would say that the first thing is we shouldn't be allowing these countries, these suspect countries, to be manufacturing the e-log devices, and then secondly, we shouldn't be allowing them to have these operational hubs for work being done here in the United States overseas, because there's no accountability. Like, look, if a guy in Eastern Europe tells a guy in the United States to, hey, I'm going to reset your logbook, I'm going to drive you fatigued, and then he goes and crashes into a traffic jam and kills 5 people, that dispatcher in Eastern Europe cannot be held accountable because no court is going to pursue extraditing him here in the United States to face justice. And so if we have no judicial accountability, then there should be no allowance for the activity at all. Period. If we can't hold them accountable, then we should not allow them to participate.
Absolutely. On 2 other points, we have a story of a Arizona state trooper being hit by was that a non-citizen driving that truck that hit that state trooper, moved his car 60 miles off the road from where it was parked?
So
60 feet. I'm sorry, 60 feet. Moved it 60 feet off the road.
So the practice is nobody will identify these drivers for us, so we have to do a lot of investigating. And so we have investigated the motor carrier, which is the name and the DOT number for the FMCSA registration for that vehicle, and has come back and has identified that this carrier is regularly put out of service for drivers not having a commercial driver's license and for being unable to read and speak English. We suspect this is another case of a non-citizen truck driver, and we are investigating that and trying to nail that down. But the current indications are that, yes, we have another case here of an injured state police officer in Arizona by one of these rogue motor carriers.
In fact, I think we have a news story on it real quick. Here it is, guys. Watch.
Into our newsroom in the last 10 minutes. DPS troopers are confirming they arrested a suspected drunk driver in a semi who was hauling cars on the back of a flatbed when they say he crashed into a trooper on I-10 out in Buckeye. This is that crash in the West Valley we've been keeping an eye on. Medics rushed the trooper to the hospital with head injuries. Live look at the scene here, and DPS tells us the trooper was simply finishing some paperwork when that Dodge Ram towing 3 other cars crashed into him, pushing the trooper 60 feet. The other driver didn't have any injuries, but is being processed for a DUI now.
Take notice of.
Well, there you go. And you're saying now that this company is known for what abuses again? Just make sure it sinks in with our audience.
We have a list of violations that have been reported on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety website showing that they have been repeatedly cited here this year for operating with drivers that have no commercial driver's license and cannot read and speak English.
All right. Two more questions, actually. Number one, what kind of response have you received since we've been bringing national attention to this all week? What's been any impact, if any?
We're seeing a lot of registrations on our website. A lot of drivers are sharing our message, and our social media is really lighting up, and we're starting to see a huge increase in the number of registrations flowing through our site for drivers and for concerned citizens. So please keep it up. We got to keep shouting until we can get some attention from the federal agencies.
Well, this is great. So here's the power of our shows, of the truth. We also are seeing, Shannon, a lot of over-the-road drivers following us on social media. Here's the powerful thing about these drivers. They have a community and a way to communicate with each other. And we're going to ask these drivers to promote AmericanTruckers.com, AmericanTruckers.com. We're going to ask these drivers to spread Worldview Tube everywhere, because we're staying on this. Because these over-the-road professional drivers, they're how many? How many, not counting the illegals, the illegal invaders that are driving, the over-the-road American professional licensed CDL drivers, how many are there?
We have over 6 million licensed CDL truck drivers in the United States. 6
million. So that's a large community. And if we can get this to rumble through that community, I would think that 6 million ought to be able to work social media by tweeting this show when we get it posted each night at worldviewtube.com, where we put it up as an individual segment. Now we've got this will be the 3rd show we've done at worldviewtube.com. You can go get and tweet at SecDef. That's the Secretary of Transportation, at SecDef, S-E-C. Actually, it's at SecDuffy, S-E-C-D-U-F-F-Y, at SecDuffy. You can tweet it at POTUS, that's the President of the United States, at POTUS, and at Real Donald Trump, at Real Donald Trump. So we can get lots and lots of U.S. truckers, professional over-the-road CDL guys, to do this. We can bring this to the attention of this administration, who we think will do something about it. Now, let's go to one last story, and that is, I read somewhere on your site today about a trucking company that was around for 50 years that just closed. I guess the issue with that is, at a time when we're seeing a great need and demand for truckers, how is this American company closing?
Our country has been flooded with non-citizen truck drivers, and they are replacing our hardworking American truck drivers. So again, this company has been in business for over 50 years. The one's going out of business today. They employ American truck drivers, and they cannot compete in today's environment with this, onslaught of all of these new non-citizen truck drivers that have been dumped in here. That's why we call it labor dumping. Our American truck drivers are competing with all this huge increase in new non-citizen truck drivers that are working for less than half of what an American truck driver works for. And so what's going to happen is, if this continues and we do not get action from our federal agencies or even from our president, this trend will continue, and eventually all of your American trucking companies will be replaced, and all that we will have is this new ecosystem of non-citizen truck drivers and Mad Max environment out here on the highways.
Yeah, indeed. I know I said 2 more questions, but I just thought of one. AI in trucking. We're going to have all these driverless trucks, or the guys will be able to go to bed in their cab while the truck drives. Is that way off, years off, if ever, Shannon?
I think that's definitely something that's going to be on the radar in the next 10 years. But they're limited by the way they're able to scale that through production. Like they've got to have the capacity to build and to put out all of these trucks. And so there's a massive market there that they'll have to build out to. And so, I think it's definitely like 10 years out, or we're going to start seeing it here in the initial term. But look, this problem that we've got with immigration is way bigger than the problem that we've got with autonomous trucks. And it's here now. It's right now. It's costing drivers their standard of living today. And so I would say that that's important. I think God's using this. I think God's using this to bring all of these drivers together so that we're prepared for the battle that's coming with AI.
Great point.
We've got to win this battle first.
Yeah, great point. AmericanTruckers.com, AmericanTruckers.com. I want to point you to his X account, which is ATU Truckers, ATU Truckers. And this is a very important organization representing American truckers. So I want you to follow them, AmericanTruckers.com. Tweet to the people we talked about. Grab the shows at Worldview Tube. Let's keep this momentum going. We've gotten a lot of momentum since Monday, folks. We got to keep it going here on this Thursday evening. Shannon, I appreciate your coming back. You're going to be coming back. This is not a one-off. We're going to stay on top of this. Every time there's another tragic story, we're going to report it. We're going to keep this on the front line, the front burner, until we start getting some federal task force movement going. And we would like to see you and, of course, your partner, Harvey, on the federal emergency task force that we're calling for. So thank you for all you're doing at AmericanTruckers.com.
All right, thank you.
Shannon Everett checking in again tonight, AmericanTruckers.com. All right, folks. Hey, before we keep going, got a big interview here now with Dave Gobbets, who is a national security expert and former federal agent and has gone undercover in more than 425 mosques. But before we do, remember, we're brought to you by you. Here's another great way to support us and your health at the same time. Go over to our sponsor, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Look for the Bella Grace. The ads kind of jump around every time you refresh, but there it is at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, all our sponsors. Or you can just go directly to melissahousebg.com, melissahousebg.com. I take it every day. 80 clinical trials, this elixir. Collagen, cat's claw, that's an anti-inflammatory. Astaxanthin, that crosses the brain-blood barrier to take on the free radicals, all right? The skincare, Melissa loves the skincare. Her own personal endorsement of the skincare is there. You've seen her on camera. I should probably get her on tomorrow night. She hasn't been on in a while. She loves the skincare. She and Logan are both using the Bella Trim. It's an all-natural plant-based weight management. It's great for your cardiac health, according to the studies that we've read, and leveling off your blood glucose levels and different things. Someone asked Melissa the other day, last weekend, well, you've lost a lot of weight. She said, no, I haven't. I just got on Bella Trim. Bella Trim, like Bella Grace, the elixir, the Bella Trim really carves out your face on the sides, really gives a definite pronouncement to your jawline. And you will. I think you'll notice when Melissa comes on camera, if I can convince her to do that tomorrow night, you'll notice since her last appearance, I think you'll notice her face having a lot less, not that it had inflammation in it before, but her jawline is very definite, very definite. It's very obvious to me, and I see her every day. So a lot of times you see someone every day, you don't notice a change, but I've noticed this, and then other people commented on it. And I think this is, again, according to Bella Trim, this is what actually one of the representatives with Bella Grace told us was going to happen. So it has been one of the side benefits to getting on this. Takes away our appetite as well, Bella Trim. It also takes care of stubborn belly fat. A lot of studies on that. The sleep, the restorative sleep. She takes 2 gummies that helps her stay asleep at night. She doesn't really have a problem going to sleep. It's the staying asleep. So again, if you want to check all this out, it's on melissahousebg.com, the Bella Trim and the restorative sleep. Those are there. Get a subscription to these things. This is next to our foundation. This is our biggest sponsor, folks. Not because they just hand us money, but because so many of you order it. and they give us a percentage of each sale. So this is our biggest sponsor next to our foundation. So again, check it out, melissahousebg.com, melissahousebg.com. If you go back over to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, you'll find all kinds of other things. Hey, don't forget our big event coming up in Milwaukee on the Tuesday evening, April 15th. Help us fill it up to overflowing, folks. We have over 1,000 registered, but we want to have a good 1,500 there. Myself, Dr. Andy Woods, Aaron Lavarco, all speaking. It's free, but you have to register at worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events. So it's free, but you must register so we have enough seats for everybody, all right? Spread the word, won't you? To your family or friends that maybe live in the Wisconsin area, you know, the Waukesha, or even the whole state. It's not a bad drive. People in Illinois, people in Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, drive up, drive over, drive down, whatever it might be. It's going to be a great night. It's our first time to do a Worldview Weekend rally in 7 years. We do our annual conference, but we haven't done a Worldview Weekend rally in 7 years. So please consider coming and joining us, won't you? worldviewtube.com/events. Now, if you're a Vault member, you'll be able to live stream it. We're going to live stream it for Vault members only as that page pops up. There it is. Vault members only will be able to live stream it. So you can join for as little as, look at that, for as little as $7.99 a month at the year price, $8.99 a month at the 6-month price, or $9.99 at the month-to-month price. But if you're a Vault member, you're going to be able to live stream the event in Milwaukee on April 15th. You know what else you're going to be able to do? You're going to be able to live stream our national conference coming up this fall. You'll be able to live stream our national conference this fall as well. Worldview Talk, that's your satellite phone, which I have right next to me. That's your satellite phone. That's your cell phone if you don't want them tracking and storing your data. That's your solar generators. That's your electromagnetic force, EMP, or EMF, electromagnetic force blankets to cover yourself up while you sleep to get your body a chance to restore from 5G and other things. It's the smaller blanket you can put in your lap while you work on your laptop computer so you're not, sending that EMF right into your body. It's all available at worldviewtalk.com. There's the bulletproof backpack, all of that and more. There's the Bivy, so you can text and communicate through the Bivy. All of that, worldviewtalk.com. Worldview Healthcare, the Worldview Water to get the filter, to filter out all the bacteria, the fluoride, the lead, arsenic, pesticides, unless, of course, you want to drink all that. Because I think you know what will happen if we drink all that stuff over and over and over, right? So, again, if you want all that filtered out, plus you want oxygen added to the water and magnesium, which the filter does, you can get one of the we had to get a new order. We had to get a shipment. We had to get a shipment of these. We sold out again. I think it's our 3rd or 4th time to sell out of these. So we got another shipment the other day. Go to worldviewwater.net. Get your order in right away. Worldviewwater.net, worldviewwater.net. Swish for Life. I do this every day. This contains glutathione to detox your cells. Glutathione is a natural occurring molecule that starts to decrease in your body around age 20. It helps to detox our cells. And we know there are toxins in the air, our food, the fabrics even of our furniture and our clothes, people shedding on you who've gotten the shot, right? So detox your cells to keep yourself healthy. And of course, studies show glutathione can help remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. So these are some of our sponsors. Whoop, I kicked sorry about that, guys. I just kicked the button that's at my foot that allows you to see all that. Now it's back. But anyway, there you go. Check it all out. All of our sponsors at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Your support keeps this network going and helping us do long format interviews like we're about to do right now. Joining me now is national security expert, former federal agent, expert on Islam, who went in now to over 425 mosques in America. He joins me tonight to give us an update on Iran, the attack potentially by America and Israel on Iran, and the growing Islamic compounds and neighborhoods all over America. We have some brand new and stunning video to show you tonight, as well as imams declaring what Islam is really all about. Everything we say that it's about, but then get accused of being Islamophobic when we say what it really is all about. Joining me is Dave Gobbets, co-author of the book Muslim Mafia with Paul Sperry. David, thank you for joining us by phone tonight.
I appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you.
I want to go first to a story that we were the first national outlet to break this week, bringing national attention to AmericanTruckers.com. Two guys that are, well, from the trucking industry. And what they have found, David, is a huge number of non-American citizens, illegals, many of them from the Middle East, Somalia and other places, driving 18-wheelers. Even the cartels we have under congressional testimony or testimony in Arkansas, one of the trucking association representatives stating that the cartels are making fake CDL licenses. We now have documented numerous examples where these illegal invaders driving these 18-wheelers are running over and killing Americans. We discussed this the other night with the guys over at AmericanTruckers.org. As I said, we are getting flooded with emails and text from over-the-road drivers, phone calls when we are on live radio, 1 o'clock Central on 74 stations. They're flooding our phone lines, telling us that in some cases when they go to truck stops, they don't see any American drivers or just a couple. The rest are illegals or for foreigners, many of them driving with fake CDLs or CDLs that were given to them under the wrong kind of paperwork. Talk to me about your concerns when you hear this, probably for the first time, when we're talking about custody of food, meat, potential for bioweapons, poisoning the food supply, using these trucks for terrorist attacks. What comes to your mind when you hear this, what I'm telling you right
Brandon,
now?
I'm glad you brought this up. Years ago, I had information that what you're talking about, truck drivers, a lot of them illegal immigrants who got CDL licenses, they use their trucks many times for money laundering purposes in order to finance terrorism. And I'll give you an example of how that works. In some states, like I'm in Virginia, you got a lot of convenience stores owned by Muslims. And I'm not saying all Muslims are bad. I'm just saying that many convenience stores are owned by Muslims as their religion. And for example, cigarettes in Virginia are very, very cheap compared to like New York and Boston, etc. So what they've done, and I've covered this over the years, is they fill their trucks up in Virginia from the convenience stores with thousands of boxes of cigarettes and tobacco products, and then they take it to places like New York, triple their profit, and then use that money, turn that money into financing for terrorism. And I'm sure that's going on right now, even more so.
How concerned are you when it comes to the fact that they could get control of large shipments of food, like meat?
No, that's very concerning, because I was talking with some people recently. When a country gets approximately 2% population of Muslims, that's when you see more and more activity. Like England and France and Germany have exceeded the 2%. I think the U.S., when I last looked at the analysis, was about 1.6. You're going to start seeing more and more activity such as this, where they, example, using the trucks, they take our food products all across the United States. They could do anything with that food. They could poison it. And a lot of people say, well, that could not happen. Well, they did it during Operation Iraqi Freedom with the food that was coming to the U.S. troops in Iraq. A lot of times we found food had been poisoned, the water had been poisoned. So it's an avenue for them to do many, many drastic things.
Well, we're trying to bring national attention to it. And as I said, we are being told by the guys at American Truckers .com that we're the first national outlet to bring this forefront and give it national coverage. We're also now finding on our X account, House Live, HOWSE, House Live, or Worldview Tube as our other Twitter account, that we got a lot of over-the-road professional drivers now following us. So, and a lot of them are really thankful we're bringing this to the attention of the American people because they've been seeing it firsthand for a long time. So I knew you would have a thought on this. Now, I want to go to Yasser Qadi, someone that I've been covering now since I think 2010, somewhere in there, and really heavily in 2017, who moved from the mosque down the road from our studio to Plano, Texas, and is now building a 402-acre compound. Whether it's California, Plano, Texas, another area of Dallas, Michigan, we are finding out about these humongous Islamic compounds being built. I want to play a video for you. It's a Muslim guy riding around on his motorcycle with a camera, giving a tour of this Muslim neighborhood, even with Muslim names. I want you to listen to this. Here we go.
It's okay, sister. Oh, mashallah, brother. Oh, brother, wow. You are good. Everybody is Muslim here. Names have been chosen on Muslim scientists of the golden era of Islam. So this is the masjid, mashallah. They have the Salam Masjid here.
Mashallah, area.
Private park. All right, I can't play here. Mashallah written on all of them. Allah Muhammad. Oh my God, this one is a real beauty. This is Muslims, right? Medina Villas, I knew it. They're Muslim. The masjid is right next door. You just walk to the mosque.
This is Plano, Texas, epic. And the Muslim, the mosque is right there. You just walk from the neighborhood to the mosque. Let's keep going. This is what we've been talking about, folks. Here we go.
MashaAllah, that's how easy it is here. Subhanallah, in America, in the United States. Welcome to Irving, Texas. And
now we're in Irving, Texas. We were Plano, now we're Irving, Texas. They're taking over, people.
Entering a very interesting community, a community made up of Muslims, a community where the street names are all Muslims. This is the Valencia State's Mahmoud Egal Drive. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen, only in Dallas, Texas, where you will see these homes where not even the people inside are Muslim, but actually the name of the streets are Muslim. Amal Saleh Drive, Subhanallah. Check out these homes. We are looking at these homes here in Irving, Texas. There's another brother. Assalamu alaikum, brother. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. This is ideal life for Muslims, where you can say salam to everybody. Subhanallah. Amal Saleh Drive and Salma Jamil Court. I've never seen a place like this before. So in America, usually you have, Christian names, white names, Western names of streets, Jackson Street, Edward Street, John Street. This is the playground for your Muslim kids. They can play here.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, folks. Here we go. Let's keep going. Here's a guy that he let drive his motorcycle. I guess he was from Somalia. Now he's going to take us to the school. Okay, here's the school in this neighborhood. Here we go.
Here, huh? Yeah. MashaAllah, the Somalians that I go way back. Not only from Minnesota, but Islamabad. So this is the masjid, MashaAllah. They have the Salam Masjid here. When you have a community, instead of a recreation, instead of a, whatever else, you just make a masjid. Because for Muslims, the community center is actually the Muslim. MashaAllah, the masjid is open here. Salam and smile. They have the hadith. They have a preschool around here. Let's check it out. This is the wudu room. You can do wudu right here, the bathrooms. And then this is the men's hall. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. beautiful masjid in this community. No need to go anywhere else. Mashallah, the masjid is open as well. So if you're a traveler like me, you can just hang out at the masjid. It's turning out to be better than I expected. So we are exploring Ali Akbar Court. Subhanallah. This is it. Ali Akbar Court.
Ali Akbar Court. Ali Akbar Court, David. The street names are Muslim. The residents are Muslim. They have their mosque in the neighborhood. This is in Irving, Texas. We were in Dallas. Now we're in Irving. Thoughts, David?
Well, I lived in the Dallas area for several years and conducted research in numerous mosques. And I can tell you that CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, has a big influence in the Dallas area and all throughout Texas. And they're expanding. They feel right now that it's safe to expand, build more mosques. And they build them. When they build a mosque in a certain town or city, they're doing it for a purpose. And it's because in Dallas right now you have many, unfortunately, liberal leaders who are allowing this activity to take place. You know, you have the 35 Jamiat al-Fuqra type compounds scattered throughout the U.S., and they are very, very dangerous. When you talk about Somalians, it brings to mind when I went to Tennessee a few years back and went to a Somalian mosque, and it was very apparent that child abuse was taking place in the mosque. You're going to see the same type of activity in Plano or Irving, and it's really sad because Irving has a major criminal justice academy right next to several of the mosques there, and I've taught at that academy. It's very dangerous, Brandon. They're expanding, and more so, and you know, I love our President Trump. He's doing an outstanding job, I think, but right now I'm saying that there's been a neglect to look at the spread of Islam throughout the U.S., and I'm not sure the reasoning of that at this point.
Indeed. Listen a little bit more. Irving, Texas, the guy on his motorcycle filming, giving commentary, all the Muslim names, the Muslim houses, the mosque. He approaches a driver getting out of a car. Listen to what this man says.
Well, how are you? I was just visiting this old Muslim names, huh? Oh, are Pakistani?
Indian. He says this is all Muslim area. Okay, this is all Muslim area. There's a masjid over there. I saw the masjid.
मैंने देखा मस्जिद को ना तो आप इधर मूव हो गए?
नहीं मैं मूव नहीं मैं काम करता हूँ
अच्छा अच्छा माशाल्लाह
काम करता हूँ हमारे बिजनेस की गाड़ी
सही 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 रियल एस्टेट का
नहीं कार का
अच्छा अच्छा माशाल्लाह वेरी नाइस हाँ ये मैंने पहली दफा देखा सारे नाम
He said this is the first time I saw all the street names are Muslim.
गलियों के ये मुसलमान है कभी ऐसा मैंने देखा नहीं
Never saw something like this before.
माशाल्लाह भी लिखा हुआ है हर जगह
If you stay, you will meet a lot of Muslim during prayer.
आपको बहुत सारे मुसलमान भाई मिल जाएंगे मुझे जोहर के टाइम पे
अच्छा अच्छा
गेट टुगेदर थोड़ा
अच्छा चले इंशाल्लाह मैं टाइम मिला चले नाइस टू मीट यू ब्रदर अस्सलाम वालेकुम We're back on Salma Jameel. So brother said if you come during Zohar time you can meet some Muslimin but
well, there you go. They had a meeting the other night, David, in Texas where citizens could come forward and make comment about this epic center being built. I want you to hear, I mean, public comment after public comment. People were spilling out into the foyer. I want you to hear this one gentleman.
My name is Brent Thomas. I am a sixth generation Texan. One gentleman has me beat by a year, but my family's been here since 1832. The first property we owned was given by the state of Texas for serving in the Texas militia in 1836. But he won who's the bigger Texan battle, so I congratulate him. Everything's a lot, there's been a lot of things said, but there's a couple things I wanted to bring to your attention. I learned about this about 45 days ago and started to evaluate, okay, how do I how do I do this? How do I uphold the freedoms that we hold so dear and balance the risk and the danger and the potential danger that see with this? And that's been gone over numerous times. But this is, to me, this is bigger than religion. It's bigger than Jewish, Christian, Muslim. This is light and darkness. And in that community that's segregated, that will be a dark, dark place. There's no difference between me or anybody else in here, Muslim excluded. I spent a lot of my life walking in darkness. It's only by God's grace that I'm not. And I share that in common with I think a human desire to search for a connection with God. So that's how I come to anybody of a different religion, non-religion, is we have that in common. Allowing this to be open allows the darkness to grow. And as far as what this sect believes, their leaders do not condemn Hamas. When you ask them, you get silence, and that's the answer. I don't need to go through the horrific things that have been seen, but when you see a Israeli Navy SEAL come to tears by one of the videos he saw, it makes it hard for me to not sin in my anger. This cannot be allowed, and this sect wants to go back to their foundational 6th and 7th century. If you look at what happened in the 6th and 7th century across the Mediterranean, those used to be Christian countries, all of them. And that's my final plea. It's not hidden. They say it all online.
They say it all online, and indeed they do, David. I mean, the public comment section over this epic, people have awakened. I guess my only criticism, David, is this guy, I guess he found out about this 45 days ago, and God bless him for getting up to speed. But David, you and I have been warning Americans for a few decades now, more than a few decades. And I hate to say it, but I'm afraid a lot of them are waking up way too late. If they'd turned off the football, turned off the Dancing with the Stars, turned off the, other stupid shows and got educated, they wouldn't have just found out about this 45 days ago. And I'm afraid many of them are finding out way too late. And I don't trust Greg Abbott to do one thing about it. I think that man is full of hot air until he proves otherwise. What say you, David?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, Brandon, as you'd mentioned, I've been to over 425 mosques in America and conducted research anywhere from 1 day to 3 weeks, some in one case 6 months. And I can tell you right now, without even going to that mosque, I can tell you it's Salafist, Sunni, very hardcore, with a lot of Saudi Arabian support, financial support. And as the gentleman stated, it is very dark. It's going to get even darker because they're going to continue to expand in America. That is a mosque that may be number 426 for me to conduct research in.
Yes, please do, David. Please. Listen to this imam. I got a few clips I want to play for you, what these imams are admitting. Here we go.
Classically, Islamic classifies the world as Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb.
Now, legally...
Okay, did you pick that up, David? Islam classifies the world. Explain that to our audience.
Yes, Islam, people need to understand, Islam, they're not here to put the Muslim people to assimilate in America. They're here to expand the Ummah, the nation. Islam, according to Islamic scholars that I've talked to throughout America and the Middle East, define Islam as a political, economic, and military ideology that uses religion as a tool to achieve their goals, which is to establish Islam and Islamic Ummah nation worldwide to include America. So what they're saying is Islam in America. America belongs to Islam.
Listen to this, Imam. Here we go.
Chapter of jihad, so nobody says we're making things up. Chapter of jihad. We will open the chapter of jihad that is present in all of our mosques. That I wish that I could be killed for the sake of Allah, then brought back to life, then killed, then brought back to life, then killed, then brought back to life, then killed once again, and then you go become a martyr and you go and you get your 72 virgins. And this is not something that we are just reading. This is not a magazine. This is Sahih al-Bukhari. The authentic. Sahih means authentic. After intense filtration for 1,200 years, this is what we have now come with to form the religion of Islam. So when you see its non-stop attacks towards the West, you know why. Because they themselves wish to die, come back to life, to die again, come back to life, and die and come and non-stop. This love for death that they have.
I would have loved nothing more than to strive for the sake of my Creator until I am killed in that path. And then I would have loved to have been resurrected and then killed, and then resurrected and then killed, and then resurrected and then killed. He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if it was up to me, I would have 4 lives that I give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other.
If you ask the martyr while he's in Jannah, what is your wish? He will say, I want to go back to this world and to be killed in the cause of Allah. And go back and to be killed in the cause of Allah.
Allah has human enemies on earth, and my role as a Muslim is to kill his enemies on earth.
David, this is being taught in the Mosque of America, particularly on Friday prayers, correct?
Yes, Friday Jummah prayers, exactly. Jihad, people need to understand, when you talk to many Muslims, they're going to try to sidetrack you. They will say jihad is an inner struggle like families have with, the children involved with drugs, etc., immoral acts. So they consider it an internal struggle. But in reality, when they talk about jihad in the mosque, they're talking about jihad qatal. That's like Qital, which means fighting. And that's exactly what jihad is. He's repeating, he's been very, very open. He's repeating exactly what Muhammad said, Prophet Muhammad, that you should fight, get killed, and then, if possible, that you should die, return, fight, be killed. And that is exactly what they're teaching in the mosque, all 3,500 mosques throughout America, to kill.
And here is another imam. Here we go. They're telling you, plain up, straight up. Here we go.
Dying in the cause of Allah. Yeah, there is a prize for those who die in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you ask the martyr while he's in Jannah, what is your wish? He will say, I want to go back to this world and to be killed in the cause of Allah. And go back and to be killed in the cause of Allah.
Imam the other day in a lecture, and it was hard to swallow some of what he is saying. He says, homosexuals are dirty, filthy dogs who should be killed by throwing them from a mountain. Muslims should discriminate against homosexuals. He stood up for Osama bin Laden. He said Osama bin Laden is better than 1 million George Bushes and 1,000 Tony Blairs. And number one, the reason I bring this up is because these statements were made on camera by Sheikh Abu Usama al-Sahabi, who you'll be having on your show on Saturday. And number two, my larger cause for concern over this, which is that last month you made a similar video where you said that coronavirus is a punishment for the West for its acceptance of homosexuality. Here's my question. Your organization, CMCC, claims that it is and diverse Muslim community. Exactly whose needs are you serving in the Colorado Muslim community by putting this sort of extremism and homophobia in the minds of American Muslims?
Brother, we're fasting. I'm going to say I'm fasting to you. Assalamu alaikum. Jihad al-talab, and that's what has to do with da'wah. You go out there to a community and you let them know, listen, I need to let your people know about Islam. You have three choices. Fight, jizya, or you allow us in.
Wait, fight, jihad, I guess. Jizya, pay a tax, or you let us in. We get that again. Your three choices.
Fight, jizya, or you allow us in. I know this sounds weird, but that's how it is.
Okay, wait a minute. So David, fight, jizya, the tax, or you let us in. Those are the three he said from the imam from the mosque. You want to pick it up on that, please?
Yes, exactly what he's saying is when they come into a country, the people have three choices. One, you can either fight them, and he's saying that if you fight them, you're going to lose. So that's one option, that you're going to be killed if you do fight them. Two, you can accept the Islamic Ummah nation being in your country, and you're going to have to pay a tax, a very high tax, unless you, go to Islam. Or third, you're going to be killed. There's no choice. If they're coming into your country, is what he's saying.
Right.
You can fight us, which you're going to lose, or you can pay a tax, or you're simply just going to be killed.
Let's go to see what more this imam says. Here we go.
The Prophet said to us what? فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالْجِهَادِ.
Let me back up and boost the volume because that one's a little softer, guys. Here we go.
I know this sounds weird, but that's how it is. The Prophet said to us what? فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالْجِهَادِ. The best that you can do is jihad. The jihad that we know of, which is fighting. Although fighting, there is nothing wrong with it if it's justified. We don't want to cancel out this from the revelation. We can do that. But what I want to say is when the Prophet said, alaykum bil jihad, that everybody in his location. Khilafah ala minhaj al-nubuwwah. We actually happen to exist at this time. That is when Islam becomes global. No other religion will be accepted but Islam. This is the time you're living in. Kill the swine, the pig, rules the world, and establish the Sharia, and no other religion will be accepted but Islam. In the West, America will be gone, I tell you that. Now the responsibility of punishing the disbelievers, keeping them away from misguiding people, is given to the believers on earth. If the believers stick to the guidance, follow the deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid them, will support them against the disbelievers, and through the act of jihad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish the disbelievers, the hypocrites. It has to happen at the hands of the believers, the jihad, the act of jihad. And that continued on with the Sharia of Islam. If America knows about this Sharia, I'm telling you, if you can convince the public, away from the politicians, away from the senators, because these guys, they have different agenda. But if you convince the public, they're going to go in the street and say, long live Sharia, long live Sharia. They will do it. But we have to convince them.
Wow. Long live Sharia, but we're going to have to convince them. Is he implying that once we learn about Sharia, we're going to be excited about it, David?
That's what he's trying to do. And they do this through the liberal media, just like CARE does, is to try to convince the people in America that Islam is the true one religion. And it's very peaceful, loving, caring. It's good for your families. They teach this in interfaith when they go to the local churches in their community. The imams go to the churches and they talk about how peaceful and assimilating and caring and loving that Islam is, and they try to get the leader of the church on their side. And they've told me before, several Islamic imams have told me that when we go to a church, we essentially are recruiting the minister, priest, preacher, whatever it may be. And then once we got them on our side, it doesn't matter if that church has 1,000 worshipers. They know that that minister will keep those people in line. So this is exactly what they're doing throughout America, is trying to convince the public that Islam is good. And then in reality, he's telling you what it is that disbelievers will be punished. And when he says punished, he's talking about killing disbelievers, not giving them a fine, but killing them.
This is a speech. Now, he has passed away a few years ago, but this is an older speech by Admiral Ace Lyon. Admiral, U.S. Navy Admiral Ace Lyon, a very decorated man. People should read his bio. This is not a man to be underestimated in his patriotism, his military history, and his understanding. I want our listeners, David, to hear what Admiral Ace Lyon warned our country about several years ago during the Obama administration.
You know, we have, as President Obama has said, he wants to fundamentally transform America. Well, what is it? Well, let me tell you. It's un-American, it's anti-Western, but pro-Islam, pro-Iranian, and pro-Muslim Brotherhood. You have to ask yourself, why would an American president embrace the Muslim Brotherhood, whose creed is to destroy us from within with our own miserable hands and replace our Constitution with draconian Sharia law? You got it right. Now, hey, I'm always holding back. Now, you understand we have a serious national security crisis. When you have a president who is not interested in America leading or America winning, then you know the greatest threat to our national security resides at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We have a president who refuses to identify the enemy. It was Erdogan, when he was Prime Minister of Turkey, who said it best. Islam is Islam. There are no modifiers. Democracy is the train we ride to our ultimate objective, which is to make Islam dominant throughout the world. He couldn't have said it any plainer. Islam is a totalitarian ideology bent on world domination masquerading as a religion. And I got to tell you, I reject the term radical Islam. That implies there's some moderate Islam. There ain't any, and you all know it, but you got to get the word out.
Wow. That's exactly when it really went into high gear, is it not, under the Obama administration, David?
Yeah, yes, it did. And I mean, that is a very, very intelligent man. And I highly recommend people keep up with what he had written and spoken about. Because when he said Islam is one, so many people talk about, well, they're moderate Islam and they're extremists and they're radical. There is one Islam, and that is pure Islam. Any Muslim who does not abide by Sharia law 100% is an apostate of Islam, and they themselves are subject to be killed. There is no moderate, peace-loving Islam. It is a hate-filled, violent, ideology that is, and their intention is to take over the world, and they are not holding back. Don't believe what I'm saying or what the Admiral says. Just listen as you've had on your recordings what they say. Their intentions is to take over the world, which includes America.
One last clip here, David. Listen to this. This is actually some guys sitting around in their robes and Islamic hats talking about their religion. Here it is, right from them.
This is actually Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam what do with Aisha. He saved her and he married her when she was 6 years old, and he lived with her. When she reached the 9 years old.
And then he had sex with her
after that.
When she ready?
Yeah.
When she ready, she menstruated at 9 and then when she ready, and they know that she is ready, they have the physical relation. May I ask a question? Why do you consider that as pedophilia? I think that a 9-year-old is still a child, so I consider having sex with a 9-year-old to be pedophilia. But it has already passed that stage. It's not. She became an adult. She finished the stage and entered a new stage. With it, it is considered as an adult. She's physically grown. She has the ability to bear. Like if she gets married, she can get pregnant.
All right, so there's the imam saying Muhammad lived with Aisha, took her at 6. She had her menstruation cycle at 9, and therefore she was considered an adult, and he had sex with her.
Yes, go ahead, Brandon.
And then they said, the interviewer said, isn't this pedophilia? Like, oh, no, because she passed from an adult to a child. Now, I don't know if back that many years ago, 9-year-olds were having their cycles at 9 or not. I know kids today seem to have them very early from what medical doctors I've interviewed on this program talk about due to a lot of the chemicals and hormones and food and milk and different things. They seem to be getting their cycle earlier. But 9 seems awfully early for a cycle. Is that what they teach, or is that just cover for pedophilia?
Yes, that's exactly what they teach, Brandon. And I kind of hit on that about child abuse in mosque. And I will briefly just talk about one mosque I went to in Tennessee, Nashville area. It was a Somalian mosque. I, myself and another researcher, a female researcher, spent almost 2 weeks in that mosque. We went to Sharia classes every day, every night. We watched the children being beat with sticks when they would not do the right thing in accordance with Sharia. And then we were in one Sharia class. There was a little girl sitting next to us, a little Muslim girl. And the girl told my researcher, she said, my arms are hurting, my legs are hurting. And my researcher said, honey, what's wrong? And the little girl showed her bruises and welts on her arm, back, and legs. And then the little girl said, and my husband does this, and my husband does that. The little girl was 7 years old. And Brandon, I had a very difficult time getting law enforcement to get involved in it because they kept saying, well, that's their religion, that's their culture. No, there's nothing in America that allows for a child to be abused, sexually abused, regardless of what religion they identify with. I tried to get help for that little Muslim girl because all children to me are innocent. And it took forever, but finally they did help that child, and they ended up closing that particular mosque. But I've seen child abuse all over America. It's happening. They recommend, their moms strongly recommend to their men to try to marry a 6-year-old child, and then when between 6 and 9, when they're married, Prophet Muhammad talked about various things. I won't go in detail about the abuse essentially to that child even before she turns 9 and has her period. And when they do, Prophet Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6. They say that he consummated the marriage when she was 9. In reality, Brandon and the audience, He married a 6-year-old child, and then when she was 9, he raped the child. He didn't just consummate. There's no consent for a child. I don't care if it's 1,400 years ago or today in 2025.
I 100% agree. David, do you believe she actually had her period at 9? Or is that just their way of saying, oh, no, she did, and therefore she was a woman to justify it? I mean, what do you believe really happened?
Based on my discussions with thousands, essentially, of Muslims in various mosques, they recommend you marry a 6-year-old, and then it is just a false statement that they wait until she's 9. They have sex and abuse that child the time they marry that child, but they tell the people that they don't do anything until she's had menstruations.
So the reality is they are involved in sexual activity with 6-year-olds.
100%, and I've got the evidence all across America that they do that.
Which is really interesting because Alfred Kinsey, the sex pervert that America's sex ed is based on, said that children should be sexually active by age 6 before religious taboos can interfere. So isn't it interesting that Alfred Kinsey said 6, they've made the marker age 6, makes one wonder what's going on there from a demonic standpoint, that age is being embraced by both groups. Wow. All right. One final question, David. We have talk that, of course, and reports, B-2 bombers have been moved to the British island, Diego Garcia, that Iran is getting their missiles ready, that we could see conflict between the U.S. and Israel and Iran together, America and Israel going after Iran. We understand that those, by David Pine and others, that their nuclear program is deep underground, that it would actually take nuclear weapons to get to them. What do you think is likely to happen, and what do you think Iran will do if America and Israel strike Iran? What do you think their response would be, not only to targets in the region, U.S. targets in the region, military bases in the region of the Middle East, but what do you think they will be called by imams in Friday prayers in the mosque in America? What will they be called on to do, if anything?
Well, I believe I've been keeping up with the activities within Iran and the B-52s that we have stationed very close to Iran. I think that one of two things are going to happen, that the Israelis are going to go in and actually do the bombing to take out the nuclear reactors, because Iran, I would say they probably already got them, or within weeks, or will have them. So I think first you're going to see Israel attack, and then as a backup, you're going to have the U.S. attack. Iran is going to call for jihad worldwide for the people, the sleeper cells throughout the world, to include the thousands in America, to become active and commit many more 9/11s and October 7th that we can even imagine.
So people should be preparing accordingly.
They should be prepared, always be prepared, because there are literally thousands and thousands of sleeper cells in America, and they can commit many more atrocities than even 9/11. Be prepared. Take care of your families.
David, how can folks get a hold of you?
It's davegobbets@gmail.com. And just anyone have any questions about the book or anything that I've ever discussed, or any of the undercover research that I've done at the 425 mosques in almost every state, I'm always willing to answer their questions.
Well, you're very kind and generous with your time, and I hope people also get the book, Muslim Mafia, by Dave Gobbets and Paul Sperry off Amazon, a must-read book for Americans. David, thank you for all you do for our audience.
Thank you, Brandon, and I appreciate it.
You too, my friend. David Gobbets checking in tonight here on Brandon House Live. Joining me now is Michael Weiner and Wes Peters. I saw an interview last night with the author of this book. I want to order it. It was a very fascinating interview. It's called The Big Print. The Big Print. What happened to America and how sound money will fix it. And I want to play some clips today and get a response from these guys. Guys, welcome back to Brandon House Live. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
Hey,
good evening, Brandon.
Good evening. The author is a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Leopard, and he was being interviewed on Kitco News. And I want to play a few clips of that, and we'll each respond. Here's the first one.
Describe that.
Well, let me plug in my audio where I was listening myself. All right.
Grasp it. I'm sure most of your listeners know this, but so the government is obviously spends, the problems starts to arise when the government tries to make more people happy than it can afford to make happy by, transfer payments and everything else. And so they run a deficit. They spend more than they're taking in tax revenues. And of course they need to finance that. So they do so by selling bonds into the bond market, which back when the government was better managed, the U.S. Treasury bond was the bedrock of stability in the world. Everyone could buy it knowing it wouldn't be debased and it was safe and it would be paid back and you would get interest rate on it. But what's happened is, we've gone from a small amount of debt, and the book shows this. I mean, the last 5-6 years, we've grown the debt $11 trillion in 5 or 6 years. It's more than it took the entire first 80 years to do. So, that debt growth leads to a problem where the interest costs start to get very large. And now you've got a deficit that's occurring because of those interest costs. And so, our deficit last year was $1.8 trillion. Well, 1.3 trillion of that, or 1.1 trillion of that, I'm sorry, was interest charges. And so, if interest rates go up, then interest charges get larger. If interest charges get larger, the deficit gets bigger. If the deficit gets bigger, you need to sell more bonds to cover the deficit. So now you're selling those bonds into the same size bond market. Well, the buyer of the bond says, I'm not going to buy those unless you pay me a higher interest rate. Okay, so you sell them, but they pay a higher interest rate. Well, now the government, interest expense is higher. Oh, and now the deficit's higher. Oh, and now we have to sell more bonds. You see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. We're getting a reflexive circle, kind of a doom loop of, the more interest rates go up, the more bonds you have to sell, the more bonds you have to sell, the more it pushes interest rates up, the larger the deficit, et cetera, et cetera. And this is how currencies and countries fail. This is a sovereign debt crisis. This has happened before. It's happened in Argentina. There's a whole list of them in the book. And it's happened in many, many places. Now, it hasn't happened in the United States because, generally speaking, pre 2008, we were pretty well managed. Mm-hmm. But it's now in the process of happening in the United States. And we're doing all the things that all of these countries who had currency problems have done in the past. And yet, the large mass of the people are sitting there saying, well, that could never happen in America. America's been stable for 200 years. And they're right. They're right. But if you do the same thing.
Okay, so here we go. Those are shocking numbers. In the last 5 to 6 years, we've increased our deficit by $11 trillion, more than the first 180 years. Our interest that we pay on that debt is $1.3 trillion a year. You raise the interest rates so that people will want to buy the bonds, but now you're raising the interest rate on your debt, which means you now need to sell more bonds, and it just tends to be a loop. So the alternative is, Wes, print the money, which is why his book's called The Big Print. Respond.
Absolutely. Print the money. I wish we could do that, Brandon. Just write a check whenever we wanted something, right? We'd be thrown in prison. Well, he's also talking about on the edges of some of the things that we've talked about in the past, Brandon. We just recently mentioned that there's $9.2 trillion that needs to be refinanced by June. And just here a couple of weeks ago when Jerome Powell decided to sit tight on interest rates and not lower them, Donald Trump was livid. He wants them to lower interest rates so we can refinance this $9.2 trillion at a lower rate, because he's exactly right. If we refinance it at the current rate, it's going to be a full percentage point or more higher than the existing rate is. So that's more money going to feed the beast and to pay interest to service that debt. So that's $9.2 trillion there. Another thing that he's talking about as well that we've talked about on this program is the yield curve inversion. Remember, for over 2 years, a person could lock in a 2-year rate and get a higher return than someone locked into a 10-year rate. The banks had billions of dollars of unrealized losses in these bonds that they were locked into long-term, paying much lower rates than you could get, a year ago. And when the Fed was finally going to start lowering rates last year, some of these banks actually realized those losses, getting out of those long-term investments so they could lock in some of their money into these shorter-term bonds at a higher rate. So what he's talking about here all sums up all the things that we've been talking about over the last couple of years. And the chickens have come home to roost, so to speak, and it's time to pay the piper. And the only way that our government can do that today is by printing money.
And that's why he's calling the book The Big Print. I think they're going to see the only way out of this thing is to print your way out of it. Michael, your response?
Well, the print your way out of it was the comments of the Democratic Party. Democratic Party just figured you need money, just keep printing it. The problem is the stability of that money. There's so much currency that has been printed already. That's one of the reasons that you look at inflation and also the floundering of the dollar. That's what China is moving on. But that also plays into the narrative of why gold is being embraced as money, because the administration realizes that regular currency isn't going to do it. I believe that there's going to be a twofold effect that will happen out of all this. Number one, there'll be a devaluation of currency in order to stabilize it. And number two, there'll be an addition of stability into the currency with gold. When you look at, when I say devaluation, I'm not talking like it would happen with the Democrats of like 50%, maybe 10 to 14%, somewhere in that area. But something has to happen. It's sort of like the same thing with tariffs. Right now, we have allowed this to go so far, we're teetering on the edge. So printing more money is only feeding the beast. All it is like, the little boy putting his finger in the dike. After a while, this country's got all of its fingers, all of its toes. It's got its nose and its tongue. What's left? Literally, nothing.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the run.
Yeah. Let's go to the next clip. Here we go.
I'll try and do it briefly. There's a book called The Fourth Turning by Howe and Strauss, which I highly recommend everybody read. They're social scientists or social engineers. What they discovered, or they've documented, is that there are societal trends that kind of come in 4 different sections of 20 years each, which is kind of the maturity lifespan when somebody's in their mature age from 20 to 40. And every, what happens is societies go through cycles of birth, growth, maturity, and decline or rebirth. And we're in a rebirth cycle. The system we have has reached its natural end span. And that's part of why I believe, you asked earlier, why is this happening now? Well, it fits the fourth turning model very nicely. And in that fourth turning period, what happens is the rules change. And the society looks different. A problem arises, the problem gets addressed, the rules change, and then going forward, the rules are different. And so, let's go back and look at some prior ones. We're in one right now. They tend to be about 80 years apart, 4 20-year cycles. The prior one to this was the World War II, Depression, World War II. So the world was a certain way before that war. It was different after that war. The one before that, roughly 80 years earlier than that, was the Civil War. The U.S. was a certain way before that and then different after. The one before that was the American Revolution, where before that we were part of the crown. After that, we became an independent nation. So in each of these turnings, there's usually turmoil, change, some difficulty, but the problem gets resolved, and then things get very good again in the first turning, which is kind of the new birth of a new system. And I envision that this will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. We will create a new system, and that system will have sound money at its core, and life's going to be great, and things are going to get a whole lot better. These problems we're dealing with are not going to be present.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, what might that look like? And could Bitcoin be a part of it?
All right, so let's stop there. The fourth turning. We've talked about the fourth turning a lot on our show over the last 20 plus years. Have either one of you studied the fourth turning and the concepts that go with that?
I've not. No.
No, I've not.
Okay, well, you guys would find that super fascinating because you go back to the Civil War and you just track it like he was talking about, and it seems like we are in that one of those fourth turnings right now. All right, well, that being said, then let's go to the next one. Here we go.
There appears to be a little bit of a scramble for gold. I mean, it appears like we're entering a gold bull market, and it's quote unquote on. Now that doesn't mean we won't have drawbacks. Of course we will, but I think that what gold is very good at doing is sniffing out future monetary debasement. I mean, it did it in 2018. It started moving before COVID, and then COVID came along and it really moved. And so I think what gold knows is that the monetary system is broken and that governments will sooner or later be forced into printing money, and it's just front running that move. I think these big buys, by the way, they could be governmentally driven, but I actually tend to think that if you look at it, Jeremy, there's about $950 billion in quote unquote wealth worldwide if you add real estate in there. So call 450 of that, bonds, stocks, cash, art, all that kind of stuff. The other 450 is real estate. A lot of that wealth, I think, is kind of thinking, they're printing a lot of money. There seems to be inflation that might continue. Monetary debasement's a serious risk. Maybe I should own some gold. And the gold market, by comparison, is tiny. The total market cap is about 20 trillion, but really only about 10 of that's available because the other 10 is either in a central bank or on a lady's neck or in a museum. So it's actually less than 10. It's more like 6 or 7 is available for purchase. So 950 trillion in assets, a sound money market for gold of 6 or 7 trillion. Well, even if only 5% of the 900 says, "Gosh, I want to protect myself," that's 45 trillion dollars, and that's chasing a $7 trillion market. So what's that going to do? That's going to push that gold price up, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people.
I want to stop right there. That right there to me was fascinating. I don't know if you guys know anything about that. If you can validate his numbers. Is his numbers right, Michael?
His numbers are correct, but it plays into him and I should be like on a simpatico because that's exactly what I've been saying. Governments know that we have been, and that's what actually Basant said. We've been printing money with no basis behind it. And what they're trying to say is embrace the Bretton Woods Treaty, which literally brings gold back into play. And that's pretty much what he is stating in there, that gold will be brought into play, not just by individuals, but by governments. And there's just not enough of it available. And what's really amazing is that the people that are going to wait to try to get it when they won't be able to, and or they'll pay such a ridiculous vig for it, it won't be worthwhile to accomplish anything. He's absolutely correct. We have a debasement is devaluation, and we have to have some sort of devaluation to make up for this insane printing of money. If you track the rise and fall of the United States of America, go to 1971. That's the year. Go to 1971. We went off the gold standard. Who came into power then? Nancy Pelosi, Nadler. West and I repeated. Gold is no longer West and I repeated. Gold is no longer a commodity. Gold is money. And if you think of it that way and stop playing games, you'll be okay. Playing games being people who are trying to sit back and say, well, I don't need gold. I've got stock. I've got this. I've got that. Good luck.
Yeah, well, these numbers to me, Wes, are fascinating. 20 trillion in total gold, okay? And he says about 10 trillion is not even available. It's in central banks. It's in central banks. It's in jewelry. It's in museums. So you've got about available a market of about 6 to 7 trillion, he says. Now, if you figure on a global scale, the percentage of people that wake up and say, oh my, I better get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in gold, or I need to get $10,000 in gold, or I need to get $25,000 in gold as a hedge against inflation and destruction, there won't be enough. It's going to be musical chairs, and the price is going to go nuts. And as Michael said, at that point, the price is so high, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything with it. You've waited too long, and there's going to be a lot of people. But people don't think that way. They think that this is always available, and there's an endless supply. They just dig up more. Well, yeah, obviously, when the price goes high, people will try to go and mine it. But that takes a long time and a lot of capital to put together. So 6 to 7 trillion is all there is available. And I don't know what percentage of that 6 to 7 trillion is already bought and sitting in vaults of citizens in their IRA or different clients of yours. So I mean, so how much of that 6 to 7 trillion is really available?
Right. That's the big unknown. I was just going to say real quick. Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, Wes.
I was just going to say real quick that, and most of the buying in the last 12 to 18 months hasn't been the hardworking middle American looking to protect their wealth and put something away, as a safe haven investment. Most of the buying has come from institutional investors, central banks loading up. And, that's a lot of that is the people that control money around the world. And now people are, again, because the fear of loss, the fear of missing out is kicking in. People are saying, again, Michael and I are having calls every day. People that, we've been talking to for 2 years about buying gold and silver are finally coming on board.
Wait a minute. What was the price 2 years ago, Wes?
Yeah, exactly.
What was it?
They're paying $500, $600, $700 more per ounce than they needed to.
$1,900.
Yeah.
$1,900, now it's 31. They waited 2 years.
There's another thing statistically, excuse me, Wes, I want to add that Wes and I face every day. We hear people and they say to us, well, gold is high right now. Every time gold hits a cyclical, and I've been hearing that for 45 years, and then prior to that for about 500 years. But reality is, every time gold hits a pinnacle, like when it hit 100, it went up straight to 1,000. Had its bridges, but it went up to 1,000. When it hit 1,000 in 2009, it went up straight to 2,000. It stabilized a little bit, then it went up from 2,000 to where it is right now, 3,000. My premise is, that's why I predict by the end of the year, 36 to 3,800. I've raised it to 3,800 to 4,000. The next level of gold will be a level close to 4,000, and when it goes over 4,000, we'll go through the same thing. Gold is legitimately a bargain now. Think of it that way.
Well, if you buy it at 3,000 an ounce, and that seems high compared to 2 years ago, but at 3,000 an ounce will seem like a deal when it's 4,000, 4,500, 5,000 an ounce. So again, the issue isn't about making money, it's about preserving your purchasing power. I don't give financial advice, I give financial opinion. I want to go to this last clip, because what he's saying is, and again, the name of his book is the Big Print. The collapse is here, is what he's saying. And again, trade wars, tariff wars often precede world wars. And so we may be setting up for a world war. If we go to a world war, how much more money is going to be needed to fund the military and to build? And that's if you survive the world war. They don't just cyber hack your economy and your power grid and take you down. But I mean, if we go to world war, what do you think happens to gold?
Price goes crazy.
Look what happened in World War II. What was the only country that was left alone? Switzerland. What did Switzerland have that the world wanted? Gold. That's exactly why Switzerland was left alone. It was a money-changing center, and gold was the hub of it. And if you go to a world war type of situation, paper money becomes the Confederate dollars. Gold becomes a means of monetary exchange. We're almost there right now. And when you talk about this $1,000 or whatever, Brandon, when we talked in the beginning of January and I said gold would be 3,000, gold was 2,580 when I said that. It was 25. It's gone up over $500 in 3 months. 3 months.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Something I want to point out real quick too, Brandon, before you play that clip. We're talking about the price of gold going up, but at the end of the day, it's not the fact that the gold's going up.
The dollar going down.
The dollar going down.
Yep.
And just because your gold's going up doesn't mean you're making money. That means you're paying more at the grocery store. You're paying more at the gas pump. However, your gold and silver is offsetting that inflation. So people need to keep that in mind. Gold and silver, the price going up, that just means the dollar is going down in value.
So if you buy at a high price, what you're really doing is you're dumping dollars, you're dumping bad dollars for something that's trying to keep up with that decline.
Correct.
In its purchasing power. All right, let's go to the Big Print. Here's what he says about how our government's going to get out of it.
In terms of what the average person can do, the book is very clear about that. You want to own things. The government is in a debt trap. We are in a sovereign debt crisis, and historically, like 8 out of 10 times, there have been a few that have led to depressions and outright collapse. But 8 out of 10 times, and certainly in the system we're in now, the odds strongly favor that they're going to print money to address the issue. And the printing of money is going to be inflationary. So the first thing you want to do as a saver is you want to save in terms that the government can't print. The government can't print gold. The government can't print Bitcoin. The government can't print houses. Okay, I think houses are a little further down the line because one of the things they can do is they can tax them. And of course, all governments are running deficits, so they're all getting greedy, so taxes are going to go up. So while real estate's an okay investment and better than fiat, I think it's still subpar compared to gold and Bitcoin, which are harder to tax. So I think people just need to understand that I said in the book, I mean, it's not investment advice, but I think people who don't have, I mean, I know a lot of people, let me give it a different way. I know a lot of people who have been very successful, made a lot of money, have all that money in the stock market. And they're not really thinking, or the bond market, and they're not really thinking about the monetary debasement issue. And I think that, in 10 years, they're going to, if they don't get some of these sound money.
I believe this is going to change your life.
Stupid commercial there, but notice he says they're not thinking about monetary debasement. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but there are so many things we cover on this broadcast, which is why we have a very educated audience. And I don't mean by degrees. Yes, some of them have degrees, but it's a self-educated audience. We talk about things here the average American wouldn't know anything about. Monetary destruction, they don't know about that. The massive amount of debt that we've acquired in the last 5 to 6 years, they don't know about that. The average American has no monetary education, and that's by design. Our schools don't teach economics and monetary policy to students, even at the most basic levels, like how to balance your checkbook, debit versus credit, cash flow versus income. They don't teach this to students, right? They're too busy teaching that you can have your wiener cut off and become a girl. So the fact that he says that you have, I guess, cracked up Michael on that one. The fact that you have this monetary debasement, the average American has no idea about that, other than they just know their groceries cost more. But they're blaming that on the greedy grocer, the greedy corporation that owns all this huge chain of grocery stores. They're greedy. The greedy farmers who have these beautiful, hundreds or thousands of acres and big, beautiful tractors. They're finding someone else to blame it on when it's the doggone government. Michael?
You're absolutely right. That's what happened in 1933 when Roosevelt devalued or debased the dollar by 50%. People who were sitting on stocks and cash lost everything because they didn't have the money to cover the cost to carry when they raised taxes. So they lost houses, they lost businesses. He sent us into a depression. And the reason why Roosevelt did that is you think, well, why would he do that? It's called control. Poor people are easy to lead. Poor people who he feeds are easy to lead. And that's what he did. We were a bunch of zombies until World War II. America walked around literally checking with daddy, who was Roosevelt, to get fed. Now, that's why the worst year of the Depression was 1939, industrially it was 38, and 2 years later we're in World War II, because everybody looked at us as weak, and they were right. Absolutely right. So these people out there right now who are trying to play the norm, good luck. Because if you don't protect yourself, you're going to take a hit, and some of it will not be recoverable. Period.
Let's see real quick how this guy closed after I got past that commercial. Here we go.
Gold and Bitcoin, they're going to have regret, because I think these things are going to outperform stocks by quite a bit in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, you continue to, the Bitcoin topic comes up. All
right, so he's saying that gold's going to outperform stocks. Wow.
It already is. It is this year.
It already is.
Stomping it this year's significantly.
Already is. Always has.
But Dave,
the S&P, they were down.
Dave Ramsey,
they were down
I've
70%.
heard Dave Ramsey mock people that call it and ask about gold.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey is really good. He's really good he's like a financial calculating budgeteer. As far as being a financial person, I have absolutely nothing I care to listen to. Nothing. He's not a financial. He has no background in my industry to tell me a thing. Okay? If he wants to tell me how to balance my checkbook, give me a call and then I'll hang up. I don't need to know. Other than that, he's a forced saver. He's like Weight Watchers for finance, literally. I'm done.
That's all. All right, guys, let's talk about tariffs real quick and we'll wrap. Stock market down, what, 1,500 points today or something?
Yep. Absolutely. And the market has known this is coming. You know, they've known that April 2nd was coming, and the reporters and everyone were saying that they've already taken this into account. Yet still today, the market was down significantly. It's going to be very, very volatile, I think, going forward. But Trump is right. I mean, all these countries have taken advantage of us for all of these years. It's not even close to fair trade, and I think he's going to stick to his guns and hold firm. And there are already countries wanting to come to the table and negotiate, and that's what we need, is someone not to cave in and give these other countries everything they want. The art of the deal. These other politicians don't even know how to make a simple deal, let alone complicated deals. And I think that it's going to take a while. There's going to be volatility, but in the end, I think it's going to be beneficial.
And Wes is exactly right. But what's really horrible about this, which is really why Trump is doing this, if you think about it, think about this, and that is the fact of that we sit back, we buy all these products from China, and then we buy them, all the wealthy people, and send that money back to China to make it again. So the people in this country who could be working and making it aren't. That's the whole premise. If we can get all these people in this country working again and having a right to make money, it would be a wonderful thing, because we're sending our money out of this country. We are not paying attention. I think 80 to 90% of this will be resolved in the next 60 days. The only holdout will be Canada till after their election. After the Canadian election, whoever wins will be on a plane within 48 hours to the United States to cut a deal. 75% of their business is done with this country. They need us. We don't need them. Literally.
Do you want to hear some of the numbers real quick, Brandon?
Sure.
All right, China. And this is in 2024. Exports to China, the U.S. sent 143.5 billion. Imports from China was 438.9 billion. That's a deficit of 295.4 billion. Okay, that's with 2024 alone. That's up 5.8% from 2023. European Union last year, we exported 370.2 billion. We imported 605.8 billion, a deficit of 235.6 billion, an increase of 12.9% from 2023. Japan, we export 79.7 billion. We import 148.2 billion, a deficit of 68.5 billion. That only increased 4.3% from 2023. Vietnam, this is huge. Vietnam, we export 13.1 billion. We import 136.6 billion, $123.5 billion deficit. And that was an increase of 18.1% since 2023. And the list goes on. So,
All right, listen to what President Trump said about this today outside the White House.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
It's going to boom. Did he mention it's going to boom, guys? It's going to boom.
It's gonna boom.
It is. It's going to boom.
Big boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Yep. We just got to take a little pain for a little while.
Like childbirth, right?
That's correct.
Like surgery.
Do I hear?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Did I tell you the economy's going to boom, Wes?
It's going to boom. It's big.
It's going to.
Never seen anything like it. It's going to be the best, the biggest.
I was just discussing that with I was just discussing that boom with Dolly. She's relaxing right now.
She actually just bolted. She was sleeping, and then she just pushed the
because she got the boom.
She got the boom. And she pushed the French doors open and went on in. She just bolted her way. She just boomed her way in.
She got her boom.
Did you see Lawrence? Lawrence had his dog.
What?
Did you see Lawrence's dog in the background?
I did. I was watching that.
It looked
interview.
like a Westie or something.
It is. I watched that whole interview last night while we were dodging tornadoes. And I said to my wife, I woke my wife up. I actually woke her up, said, look at his Westie. She looked at it. She said, you woke me up for that?
You have a basement?
No, I don't have a basement.
Storm cellar?
No, it's Tennessee, Memphis. Outside of Memphis, we don't have, the water table's too high. We have no basements.
All right, well, you just said tornadoes.
Yeah. I said tornadoes. We were dodging tornadoes, and I was laying in bed watching Kidco News, because that's what we do here.
You weren't dodging anything, pal.
I wasn't. I was laying there. I was laying there for just pretending we were in a pinball machine, and it would bounce off of us and keep going. But I was up all night, off and on, because my little mini schnauzer, she can't, I have a black one and a white one, and she, the black one, cannot handle. I was looking to see if she's down there. She's been holding real close to me today. She gets scared. She comes to daddy. She wants to be babied and pampered. She goes to mom, but she gets scared. She comes to dad. So she was panting all last night, panting and shaking. And then she cuddled up next to me, squeezed her way in. Let me just scooch right in here, she said, between Dolly and I. Dolly did not like that. Dolly started kind of a very passive, non-aggressive little growl at her. But I ended up waking up a million times because every time a storm front would come through, lightning, rain, my wife and I didn't sleep worth beans last night. So we don't need to hear the sirens, okay? We have a mini schnauzer that is, I had to turn on piano music and play piano music to drown out the weather so we get back to sleep. It was a very long night. I'm a lesser man would not even be here doing this show. He'd be in bed already.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you got the boom.
I got the boom. Well, we heard a lot of booms last night. I'll tell you that. Did you, Logan? Did you show these boys these big tornadoes? Show the boys some of the big tornadoes that bounced around here. Do you know, I saw on social media where people are saying, this is one of a million reasons I'd never live in the South again. You know, these tornadoes. Some people just, they put on football helmets. The weather guys tell you to write your social security number on your arm in a Sharpie. Can you believe that? Look at that. That was over in Arkansas, guys.
Yeah.
Now, I have no basement to run to when that happens. Do you guys know that?
That's what I asked you, yeah.
I have no basement to run to. I have nothing.
Well, you better get to working on something.
I just lay in bed and pray that, it's all going to be fine.
I have an aunt and uncle that lived in northwestern Alabama. Why? I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it's a great place. But anyway,
look at that.
They had their house, a house next door to them that was a rental. It was empty. They were painting it, putting new carpet in it, but that house was empty. And on the other side, they had a big barn for their vehicles and their tractor, and it had living quarters in it. And my aunt's one evening doing the dishes in the kitchen, and she had a little television on the countertop, and all of a sudden there was an emergency alert on the television that a tornado was on the ground outside of their town. And she looked out the window, and it was barreling down right on their house. My uncle was in the living room reading the newspaper. Their storm shelter was outside. They didn't have time to make it outside. So she yelled that the tornado's coming. They got in the back bedroom and got under this great big heavy desk. And the house next to them, nothing was left but the foundation. The barn, nothing left but the foundation. And the house they were in collapsed in on them and didn't get swept away. And they just got some bumps and bruises, but they, no serious injuries at all. But God had his hand on them because those other two structures were completely gone. They lost they lost everything, their vehicles, you name it. It was all gone.
Who dug them out?
They dug themselves out, more or less, I guess. But the neighbors started going around the neighborhood with chainsaws and equipment and stuff.
Well, they tell you to write your, as I said, your social security number on your arm with a Sharpie, have your shoes on, wear a football helmet, and then they tell you to get a foghorn, one of those air horns, or a whistle, so you can tell people you're in there alive. But yeah,
how about you get a storm shelter?
You know what they do? They break up your garage floor, and you back. I guess you back your car out, and you so that you can get on, and you slide open the garage floor, and you go down into the new shelter they've put in. And you slide the door closed, kind of like when you get your oil changed. You get down in there, and people do it. People do it, and I'll tell you, some people have been experienced these that they got PTSD. Man, they freak out when the storms come through.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I've never been through one of those, and but if I ever get too close to one or go through one, I'm sure it'll change my whole. I'll probably be installing. I'll be installing a storm shelter in the garage.
You know what's going to get you, Brandon? You know what's going to get you one?
What?
The fear of loss. How about that?
The fear of losing my life.
Yeah, fear of loss. Again, you see all these video clips of tornadoes and stuff. You know the damage they can do. You got all the facts. Yet you're going to wait till one comes really close to home. Then you're like, you know what? You're going to be on the phone tomorrow getting a storm shelter.
That's right. That's right.
Fear of loss.
But there are some people that actually have them in their yard. They build them in their yard, and they got little concrete tops with a place for air, and then you open a small little door and go down 3 steps, and you have benches, and you just sit in the bench, close the door, sit in the bench. I mean, you're just barely under the ground, but just enough to.
Yeah. Worldview storm shelters.
I'm telling you, dog. I am telling you. Yeah. That's right. That's right. We need another sponsor.
I'll find one.
Let me do a segue. Do not get caught in the financial storm, my friends. Get your free packet of info. How's that for a segue?
There you go.
Get your free packet of information. Go over to worldviewgold.com. You know what? Here's the deal about this. Whether you want to buy precious metals or not, that was a very informative segment tonight, guys.
I think it was good. I like it.
Exactly. Absolutely. I think people should pay attention to it because it's good information. Literally.
Michael, a question. How is it you're so tan and Wes is not? Look how tan your neck and everything are. Look how tan you are.
It's lighting.
Okay.
Looks like like he was in a paint booth.
It does, doesn't it?
That's right.
Really? He's getting spray on tans.
He gets spray on tans.
Spray on tan. There you go.
He says he's going to the doctor's appointment from the office. I'm going to run into the doctor.
He's going to get a spray tan. Yeah.
Spray tan. There you go.
Are you in the new house? Are you in the new house now tonight, Mike?
Yes. Yeah, I am there right now. Correct.
You want to take us and show us the catio?
No, that would be too difficult where I'm at. It's too far away.
It's too far away, Wes.
Yeah.
The guys in the control room are all laughing.
You got a mansion.
He would have to pack a lunch to go. He'd have to pack a lunch to go that far to the next wing.
That's way over in the west wing.
The cats are in the middle of educating the dogs in the neighborhood. They're in a class right now teaching dogs.
Have you been to that house? Have you been to that house yet, Wes?
No. He's coming. He's coming.
I haven't got the invite.
Mm-hmm. He's coming. We'll get security to let him in. Don't worry.
I'm starting to think he's living in a condo in North Scottsdale.
In a what?
That's
a condo?
A condo. In a condo.
That's right.
I thought you said a convent. I'm like, they wouldn't have him in a convent. Those nuns would never have him in a convent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Even the nuns wouldn't take him.
Thank you. Abuse is. I love abuse.
Those sisters would say, "Out of here, Michael."
Abuse. Well, I met a lot of them back in the 15th century.
I'm sure you have, Michael.
I'd flip him some money to crack his knuckles a few times.
Yeah, I know. They're standing there with their ruler, ready to just crack him good, aren't they?
Yeah.
I love abuse. I'm having a lot of fun. All right.
Go to worldviewgold.com. I guess. All right, Wes says. Have you ever seen? Michael. Have you ever seen Michael rushing to get off the show?
No, never.
Yeah, never. He is tonight.
Only way of putting me with the nuns.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Go to worldviewgold.com. Very top of the page. Very top of the page. Click that button up there. More information, and it magically brings you down to the bottom there. You can fill it out, get your free, no obligation packet. Precious metals. You can take possession of bullion. You can find out about numismatic 1933 and older. You can find out about how to put gold into your IRA. So much education you can get for free. Or you can text Wes 602-558-8585, 602-558-8585. Wes, I just had a thought. If God forbid I ever die in a tornado, somebody's going to grab all these clips of me talking about how I didn't take it seriously, just laid in bed during tornado season, and they're going to say the idiot got what he deserved. Here he was so cavalier in all these shows. You know, they're going to just run it together and say, how did he die in a tornado? Because he just laid there watching Kitco News while the tornadoes came through.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
crazy.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
All right.
That's it. Let's take that bad stuff out of the atmosphere there.
That's right. Don't put that into the cosmos, right, Michael?
Exactly. In the hemisphere. Correct.
All right, boys.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good night.
The bad
Have a good
news-
night.
You too, my friend.
We're going to the boom.
All right, go to
Thanks.
the boom. Yeah, speaking of the boom, that's your nickname, Dolly. Boom. Boom. Look at that. All right, that's our show, man. That is our show. Do you appreciate what we're doing here? Do you? If you do, we need your support. WorldviewFoundation.com. WorldviewFoundation.com. All right, Worldview Foundation. We go there. WorldviewFoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address if you want to support us through the mail. So we are looking for more regular monthly contributors. So do please consider going there now, worldviewfoundation.com. News and information you can use, that's for sure. All right, roll the music, boys. Let's call it a night. And what is the weather prediction for tonight? Am I going to get some sleep tonight, or am I going to have a black mini schnauzer shaking and panting all night long tonight? They don't know. I got the course of I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's supposed to rain for like the next 4 days. Major flooding? Bad flooding in Memphis, huh? Wow. We'll have to bring you some footage of that tomorrow night. All right, guys, get your free packet of business cards. Pass them out, okay? We've now sent out, they say 12,000 or more of these now. So there you go, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. That's our broadcast for tonight. As always, thanks for watching. May God save America. Take care.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
And welcome to the broadcast on this April 3rd, 2025. And we're going to be joined here. Guys, can I get that monitor right there on? We're going to be joined by Leo Holman, please.